Welcome to another episode of The Hub on Vital MX, your one-stop shop for motocross news from around the world, and it's been a quieter week this week. Thankfully, last week's crazy episode in which we felt as though it was a race against the clock to get as much news out as possible is in the past, and we can be a little more relaxed this time around. There have still been some unfortunate injuries, which we will get to right away. Styles Robertson will miss the remainder of Monster Energy AMA Supercross as he has had surgery to repair a ligament in his wrist. He aims to be back for the first round of Pro Motocross in May. That should not be a problem, but a crushing blow for the man who has barely raced in the last 2.5 years now. Just some people have it rough, and Styles Robertson falls beneath that category. Nick Romano is another injury-prone rider who is currently pushing through his own issue. He dabbed his knee in Tampa, sustained some damage, has now confirmed that he blew out his knee, but he is continuing to race and try to push forward because, quite simply, he needs to. He too hasn't had much success, much track time in recent years, so just logging laps is the key here, and he didn't make the main in Detroit, but with this weekend off, he expects to get a little bit stronger. Nate Thrasher, he was another injury from last week. He crashed at the goat farm, not his fault. Another rider ran into him and broke his finger. Miraculously, he raced in Detroit, won a heat and finished 5th in the main event to elevate himself to 5th in the championship standings. Just incredible with the severity of his broken finger, but after the race and the damage that he incurred during the main event, he could no longer move it, so surgery was a necessity, and he had that on Sunday. Now, the goal is for him to race in Daytona and therefore not miss any rounds of 250SX East. It seems as though that is obtainable, but in how much comfort will he be in come Daytona? Presumably he will have no practice prior to that, so watch this space to see if he can A, maintain his 5th place in the championship standings, and B, potentially elevate himself to championship contention. One rider who fell out of championship contention in Detroit was Cameron McAdoo. 3rd at round 1, he had a horrid crash in the whoops towards the end of the main event and kick-started that whole red flag fiasco. Not ideal for McAdoo, who was already racing with a torn ACL. Now, fortunately, despite the red flag, he did not sustain any injuries in that crash. Yes, he took a handlebar to the cheek and had a nasty cut there that required stitches, but thankfully that was all. Based on his Instagram post today, it sounds as though he is going to continue to race, but there has been some speculation that now that he is out of championship contention, he may get that torn ACL fixed. It's a volatile situation, could change, but for now, it seems that he's hinting that he will be in Daytona. Turning over now to race results from Europe, a couple of preseason internationals were run, one in France and one in Italy. First of all, La Capelle Maraval in France. You may remember that as an MXGP venue in 2021, or was that 2020? Either way, La Capelle has been a historic stop on the calendar in February, and it was once more dominated by French riders, in fact. Maxime Renault, potentially a sleeper in MXGP, went 1-1 in front of countryman Romain Fevre. And in MX2, new KRT signing and reigning EMX 250 champion Mathis Valin beat out Thibaut Beneston, which wasn't exactly surprising, but certainly cemented Valin's potential in the MX2 class. I wonder if Pro Circuit Kawasaki will potentially keep an eye on him, a fast Frenchman on a Kawasaki with USA aspirations. Seems like an ideal fit. Jumping over to Italy, Montevarchi, a former Grand Prix venue. Tim Geiser went 2-1 to beat out Lucas Coonan, the winner of the first moto. By all accounts, naturally, I have a lot of connections in Europe, fellow riders messaging me, etc. Everyone is saying that Tim Geiser is unbelievable right now. Given the fact that Prado is no longer an MXGP rider and Hurlings is injured, I really expect Geiser to just run away with this championship. Now, once Hurlings gets up to speed, there should be more of a tussle for race wins, but truth be told, in the first half of the season, the first 10 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised if Geyser won 7 of those, if not more. In MX2, Simon Lagenfelder banished memories of a drab Mantova race to go 1-1 and gain some valuable momentum heading into Argentina, where he will be the secondary title contender behind reigning champion Kai de Wolf. But remember, Kai de Wolf did twist his ankle at the start of the month. Now, nothing major. He'll be fine. In fact, I believe he's racing this weekend in Lierop. But still, a small hiccup that Lagenfelder could potentially capitalise on. And yes, as alluded to there are more pre-season races this weekend. Lierop in the Netherlands will play host to a lot of very fast riders. And in France, another French race, Sommiers, will also be the venue for some factory stars. So stay tuned for results from those races. And then this time next week, the Grand Prix paddock would have touched down in Argentina, a new venue for round 1 of the 2025 FIM Motocross World Championship. Who would have thought that it's already come around? Time is certainly moving fast. Thank you for paying attention, clicking, listening, and watching The Hub again this week. We'll be back next week with more from the world of motocross. If there's anything you'd like to see, anything we're missing as championships start around the world, we will be placing a spotlight on the Australian Championship, the German Championship, the British Championship, and so on. So stay tuned for that. And this truly is evolving into your one-stop shop for motocross news from around the world.